Hi friends, so we're back today for another video in the series 30 Reviews in 30 Days. Today we are talking about Thanks for Waiting, Doree Shafrir's memoir, and it's subtitled The Joy and Weirdness of Being a Late Bloomer. I was drawn to this book because of the subtitle, because I've been a late bloomer in certain parts of my life, even though in the beginning of my life I felt like I was an early bloomer, and that is also the author's story. I requested this from the publishers, Penguin Random House, so this is a complimentary copy that the publisher sent me to review. But again, I am not biased in my opinions. If I get a book from a publisher that I don't like, I will tell you, but I want to also acknowledge that this was a free gift from Penguin Random House. Thanks for Waiting by Doree Shafrir. I was not familiar with who Doree Shafrir was when I requested this book. I still don't know too much about her other than what she has shared in this memoir. But she is a podcaster. She is a journalist. She's worked in media for a long time, and she and her husband now have a podcast, or more than one podcast, but I guess her first podcast is the one that she may be known for, Matt and Doree's Excellent Adventure. Excellent because they're talking about the process of IVF and their experience with fertility treatments and conceiving a child. This book is interesting. I really enjoyed reading it. I was drawn to the story because a lot of the description of the author's experiences are things that I've experienced myself. It talks a lot about her desire to move to New York, how she did some of the things that she did a little later than may have been expected. She was an intern in her late 20s. She was working media jobs in her 30s. She dated. She had a lot of unsuccessful relationships. And then she met her husband, got married, and had a child in her late 30s, early 40s. And I did a lot of that. In this one, she talks about, of course, the process of in vitro fertilization. I didn't do that. My husband and I had a baby the old-fashioned way. But it's really interesting to read about how her life, the trajectory that her life has taken up to this point. So if what this author has done in her life would resonate with you, then I think that this is a book that you might enjoy reading as well. It is for me, mainly because I can see some of my experiences mirrored through what she writes. She goes into a lot of detail talking about those missteps in her life, those relationships that didn't go anywhere, the men she dated that were not nice to her, that weren't kind to her, but also how for a long time she didn't value herself, value who she was. And so she didn't really present herself, her authentic self. And so it's understandable that people didn't value her because she wasn't valuing herself. You know, she talks about her therapy and the breakthrough that she had in therapy in understanding how to value herself, and how she started manifesting that desire for a real relationship, and how that relationship that led to her marriage, led to her husband, came out of her manifestation. This is really interesting to read because she also details the process of growing up, the process of going through those less stable, less valued jobs in media. And they may be the thing that draw a lot of people, a lot of young people to New York. It drew her. And she talks about that experience of coming to New York as a reporter, as a journalist, working with the Observer newspaper, working at Gawker and BuzzFeed and the media startups, and what that process was like, and just kind of seeing the trajectory, seeing the growth of the media industry from moving away from newspaper and print media to more online sources. And so you can see that mirrored through her experience, but also seeing how she is growing as a person, evolving in her career as she is moving from place to place. But again, also as she's moving from relationship to relationship, and she moves from New York to California and what that is like. And it's really interesting. She does go into a lot of details about some of those failures. She does go through a lot of details of those dates, those those failed relationships, and she doesn't seem to go into as much detail in the relationship that she built with her husband. And you understand that, but you also kind of think it's funny, because I understand that there's an intimacy that you share with your husband, your partner, that you may not want to share with everyone, but it seems like it's okay to just kind of dig through the mire that was those relationships a decade or two ago that didn't go anywhere. So it's interesting and also kind of enlightening to see and to read about. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. In a lot of ways it was, but in a lot of ways it was exactly what I wanted to read at the time. It's nonfiction, a memoir about someone whose life I feel like I connect with. I didn't know who Doree Shafrir was when I requested this book, and I feel like I know her better now. I don't necessarily know her from her podcast, because I've never listened to her podcast or any of her podcasts, because she has more than one. But I feel like I know her as a friend just from having read her story. And so, yeah, if you haven't heard about this book before, you may want to pick it up. Thanks for waiting. Doree Shafrir's memoir. And this is a pretty new release. I got this from the publishers sometime last month, 2 months ago. And so I thought I'd share it with you here. So thank you so much for watching, and come. My husband is here.
Did I bring my headphones upstairs, or did I leave them in the car?
I don't know, darling. I don't know.
I apologize. Interrupted the broadcast. I'll be out of here in a minute. Sorry.
You know, the focus of this book, the lesson that Doree Shafrir says she wants to teach us through this book, is that you shouldn't be bogged down with feeling like you need to go according to someone else's schedule, according to what you think is life's schedule. That sometimes things happen in their own time, and that it's okay to continue living your life until those things happen. It's okay to want them, but it's okay to not have them when everybody else is having them. Even, not just comparing herself to this hypothetical other, comparing herself in her birth order, her siblings, she said, did some of the things that she did, but did them earlier, even though she is significantly older than they are. She has a sister who's like 7 years younger than she is, and her sister got married before she did. Her sister married like her college boyfriend, and she knew that she wanted to be an attorney when she was in high school, and she followed that path, and she's a successful lawyer. And Doree didn't do that. But it's okay, because it doesn't mean that just because someone else or other people find their path or find their purpose earlier means that they're more fulfilled, or that they will have more fulfilling lives in the big scheme, in the big picture. So I like that lesson. I like this book. And so for that reason, I'll recommend it to you. I hope you will pick this up if you are interested in reading books like that. And if you do, I'd love to hear about it. So leave me a comment down below if you've heard about this book, if you want to read this book now because I've talked about it. And of course, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about another book in the series, 30 Reviews in 30 Days. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.